Hola, people. Welcome to Deviant Witchery, obviously, where a witch can be a witch. Sorry that, well, we're always late. It's Deviant Witchery time. And we're late because of me, because I had to, rinse the color out of my hair. Um, but tonight is going to be a very necessary topic, a very, it's just something that we need to talk about, and I would love for everyone to be involved in this discussion. So we open the questions and the answers thingy up. So if you want to discuss a topic, if you want to bring something up, please go ahead and do that. We don't do that for every show, but I thought and felt that it was necessary for the type of show this is. And before, and I don't, this is not a disclaimer, but this is just more so to express what we are trying to accomplish here and what we're trying to do here. This is not meant to be an attack on anyone's practice. This is not meant to, to be elitist in a way that most would perceive that word and utilize it. This is just us speaking about our craft, speaking about what we feel is true and right, and this is just an extension of what we have learned and been trained on and grown to embody and embrace. And this topic is very, very serious and very, again, like I said, necessary. And I'm thankful for Scarlett for coming up with the title, because there was some other titles that were contemplating, but Witchcraft, Only the Strong Survive is definitely, the spirits are happy with that topic for sure. I guess the first thing that we can talk about is, what does that mean? So Witchcraft, Only the Strong Survive. What came to mind when you, Scarlett, when you expressed that? What do you feel that means in regards to the craft?
Well, when that came to mind, I thought of how when I say we, I don't speak for everybody. I guess I speak for us because I know how we practice. We do what we have to do when we have to do it for whatever reason. We don't sit back and think and contemplate on, oh, is it going to hurt somebody's free will and personal gain and, what the hell ever. So, I mean, it's to do what you got to do to take care of you and yours, your family, those people that you care about, stuff like that. And to me, people or witches who are not strong enough cannot do anything and everything that is necessary. They have a limit. They give themselves a limit.
They kind of almost burn out.
Those witches who are strong and do what they have to do, whatever is necessary, they are the strong ones. They are the ones that are going to survive against the ones who give themselves limits.
Yeah. It's almost like, when it's expressed only the strong survive, it's not meant, it is, I guess it's kind of it is a judgment, and it is a judgment that, those who place it are okay with it, and I'm okay with placing it. It's not necessarily, it's not expressed to be mean. It's more for me, when I think of it, when it's expressed, it's more out of, safety, and more out of, honor and reverence for those who actually, who are of service, who practice their craft, and who work with this, every day when they live it. And those who do not, and those who kind of just dabble, which I hate that word, but we're going to talk about that. So those who dabble, they don't necessarily survive because they play with harmful energies. And a lot of this, this discussion, this topic got started on, I can't remember how it was brought up, but we were talking about something, and Nimbus expressed that little that graphic that I created. Yeah, what did it say? Do you remember?
Yeah. I just said that the ethics of a witch have never been and will never be the same as a muggle or a mundane, or, you know. We use mundane. We took out muggle. I say muggle a lot, but you know,
Yeah. But yeah, so and it's
they
true.
can't be. It's not that they can't be. It is a very definite. It's not a choice. It's just they can't be.
Well, if you think about it, like as I mean, there's so much that like goes with this topic, so it's like hard to stay like organized. It's gonna kind of like jump all over the place. But if you think about it, like the witch is not a mundane. The witch is a being, a creature, if you want. We're beings of a different caliber. Um, does that make us superior to mundanes? Possibly, possibly not. That's just. I think that we are necessary for the world to interact and to function. So we're here for a reason. And so we have, if you even go back through like stories, through history, through all the mentions of witches, we have always done things that were kind of harsh or perceived to be, I guess, dirty or just very harsh, and we kind of have made the decisions that most people don't want to make. They're not comfortable with making, and there's always like the witch who has to make it, and we get perceived to be like negative or this mean individual or mean spirited entity or energy because we are listening we're listening to the energies of the earth, of the spirits, of everything that's going on, and we make decisions based on that necessity. And so we're not the same. We're not the same as those who are not witches. And I don't know how I feel about saying that that means we are superior. I think I know a lot of people will say that, and if you want to express that, that's cool. If you believe that, definitely mention that now and tell me why you feel that way. If you are dead set against expressing that, for sure express that as well and tell me why. But I think that we're necessary, and so what we do and what we express and how we function in this physical reality, it's different, and we can't be held to the same ethic or moral code as those who do not understand witchcraft, those who do not understand the unseen forces, those who do not work with, everything that we work with. Like you said, it just can't happen, and it won't. It's not how it works.
And the same thing for witches as well. Because there are witches who refuse to go as far as we do. And then there's us who refuse to put a limit on what we do. So, to me, just not just comparing it, witches with the mundane, but it's also comparing witches with other witches. And I guess that's where things come in, like some of the comments that were in regard to the graphic that Michael posted that Nimbus had said, and everybody's throwing out the threefold law and the reed and all that stuff, but if that's what you believe in, more power to you. But that's not what we do, and that's not what a lot of other witches do. So just because that's your ethics, those are your morals, don't shove them into our face, because those are not ours. And so, it's just the whole, not, I don't want to really say like superior and inferior or anything like that, but there is a big difference in just witches in general, because there are so many witches that will do whatever the hell it is that they have to do to get whatever needs to be done. And then there's witches that give themselves that limitation.
Right. And I've actually been contemplating that a lot lately. I don't know why. It's just like before I go to sleep, I'm thinking about a lot of Wiccan concepts, which is interesting to me because I haven't really contemplated that stuff in a very long time. But I have quite a few Wiccan friends on Facebook who are actually legit traditional Wiccans, and I've learned a lot from them just by listening and watch. I'm gonna sound like a PP sucker, but listening and watching how they interact and the knowledge that is expressed from them, and it's fascinating to me because a lot of traditionals, they perceive the world and the craft the same way we do, and I know a lot of people think that we, or maybe I, hate Wiccans, or I hate fluffy individuals, and I don't. I've expressed myself very, very distinctly on certain topics, and I will do that because sometimes in order to be heard, you have to make a very distinct a line so people understand where you're coming from. But the more I think about it lately, the more I understand that while I might not agree with while I might perceive something to be a limitation, that's on them. That's for them and their practice. And I think I'm growing up. So I think that more so what is necessary for them, they're necessary for some reason, to be that way. And then you have those of us who have older ethic or older code, and we have other energies that we deal with. I think, though, and this is from my personal experience, there are a lot of spirits of an older nature that are very upset at the watering down of their craft. And so that is why I feel a lot of people who don't understand traditional Wicca or don't understand traditional witchery, they're experiencing certain things. They're being called out. They're being everything has been uprooted for all of us. So the more that these spirits are upset at the fact that what they worked hard for is being watered down and it's being taken, being bastardized and pussified, and it's building this energy where it's making a distinct line, and that's challenging for a lot of people. I have no idea where I'm going with this, but that's what it's expressing right now. But it's just hard because witchcraft is dangerous. It's serious. It is meant to be fun. It is fun for sure, but it's not meant to be utilized as a hobby. And that's and I guess that goes back into only the strong survive, because a witch is a witch, and you are there are many ways to become a witch. You are born a witch, you're created, you make a pact, there's different ways. And each way that you've come to your craft, there are certain lessons or certain beliefs or certain things that go hand in hand with that. And if you can't hack it, people are getting mad at me. Okay, so those witches who are definitely born, that's not something they can run away from. This is the calling. We're of service to many things, and this is who we are. Those who are created, power can be taken away for sure, because if you're created to be something, whoever created you can take away. So, and if we go for those who are created, if we express that, if you aren't strong in your passion and your drive and in your way of being, if you can't hack it, I totally forgot to turn my phone off. Shit, sorry. So if you can't hack it, if you don't follow through, that's dangerous. And again, you won't survive. You won't step into what you desired for at that time. I'm totally rambling, so someone else can Take over.
Well, it's the survival of the fittest in a lot of ways. You can see the ones that are obviously created or pack made or born. Even within that, there are definite differentiations between those. Someone that is born, it is such a it's a unique experience because it is their drive and their focus, and they cannot. And this is my experience from the earliest of ages that I can remember back. It was a drive and it was a focus and it was my life. It was everything. It was how I breathed and how I lived, and it incorporated everything that I am. So for me to go back and say, well, when did I become a witch? It's hard for me to say, because when did I start practicing? I can probably tell you that roundabout date, actually. But when did I become a witch? That's a hard thing to say. So when it comes to, only the strong survive, the ones that were made, they have to. It's not that's a choice, but that's a choice that someone who is made can make, but it's not a choice that someone who was born to make, because a true born witch, their focus and their drive is their strength, and that is what makes them who they are. That's what carries them through their life and beyond. So it is that's a unique experience. Now, there are those that I'll say, I'm like you, I don't like the word dabble, but they do. They use it as a hobby. They practice when they want to practice. They want to utilize the skills when they want to utilize the skills, and then forget about it when they don't. Right. So that's a bullshit experience, because you're not living it. You're not getting the full experience of it. It's funny, you were talking about the traditional Wiccans. I know a couple traditional Wiccans, and they use the threefold law as like a guideline. It's more something to remember. They live a whole lot like traditional witches. There's such similarities between the two paths there. Not Neo-Wiccans. Neo-Wiccans I don't like very much, and you can hate me, whatever. That's fine. I will take full responsibility for it. I think their practice is mostly bullshit, and I don't think they know where they're at, and I think that they're lost, and that's just my opinion. You can take it for what it is. A traditional Wiccan, actual taught Wiccan, a initiated Wiccan, the threefold law is kind of what their understanding of transfer of energy. That's what it's like a guideline. Now, the ye harm none, do what thou will, the Wiccans that I know, I don't even know if they focus on that in their practice. It's the Neo-Wiccans that are like, no, sorry, I can't do that, because the traditional Wiccan, they have power, it's very unique energy, it's very unique power, but they know that if you fuck with them, they're so similar to us, is that they will utilize whatever they need to harness that energy and do what they need to do. And I had such a fucking good point while you were rambling, and I can't think of what it is.
Well, maybe they'll come back to you while I ramble some more.
No, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I had a point and I can't think of what it is. Oh, yes, I do. Let me say it. Witches are more ancient and more primal than the mundane. Therefore, it's like a human and an animal. Their ethics are very different, because the human's not going to go out of their way to go to those primal forces to survive anymore, because they don't have to. It's been bred out of them. They don't have to focus on the life or death aspect so much anymore, because they can go to the grocery store and get their butchered meat. They can go, they don't have to pick the fruit off of the vine. They don't have to, toil in the ground to build up that that nurturing nature a part of themselves. It's not needed anymore because it's such an easy life that most of us in a first world country live, that they don't have that respect for the land. They don't have the respect for the animals. So their ethics turn into a very, very mundane existence because they're like, well, no, it's like saying I will never kill an animal, but I'm going to go and eat chicken. It's out of sight, out of mind. It's like, I don't have to do it. I don't have to get my hands dirty, so whatever. I'm going to judge you for doing it. Witches, on the other hand, it's like saying a bear. The bear is going to do everything they can to be at that stream when the salmon are running upstream because they know that that's that time where they can gather sustenance. Now, there are a lot of people in the world that would go, oh my God, they're killing the fucking fish. This is terrible. I mean, like PETA, I think PETA's bullshit, but whatever. Like those weird human emotions that animals don't have are very, very similar to that raw and ancient power of the witch, because that is where our ethics lie. That is, you do what you have to do to survive. There's no option. We don't have that. We draw back to a world and a lifetime that was long ago because we live a practice that has been forgotten by time. We're the last few remaining, and I do say few because I don't think there's as many as people think there is, of a bloodline that has just over the time just been bred out and bred out and bred out and bred out to be nothing, and things are forgotten and the spirits are forgotten, and they don't want that.
No.
And they're demanding, and I do say demanding because they're demanding a push for true witchcraft, true work, true spirit. I mean,
to expand and put it in a little different perspective on what you just said, and this is going to leave some people out, so I apologize, but if you are a mother or if you're a father, if your child was threatened, what would you do? Like, how would you feel? And I'm sure even, new parents and stuff, you felt that moment where you thought your child was going to be hurt or your child was in harm's way, and you feel that adrenaline, you feel that instinct, that primal instinct, like, kick in, like, the fuck, you come at my kid, I'm gonna hurt you. Like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to protect, and that energy, that same feeling, that instinct that flows through you at those times, at those moments. That's exactly what is trying to be expressed here. That is kind of what the witch is. Like, that energy, like, that's what we do. We act on that. That's what flows through us. And so that's kind of how, our ethic and our moral and our instinctual nature, that's what it's based on. It has that adrenaline. It has that, that intense energy where you got to take care of it. You just switch over to that mind, that energy, and you step into it, and you make choices, and it's not rash decisions. I mean, we all make those, but it's more so calculated decisions from a primal state of being. Crystal asked a question, and she expresses that most Wiccan traditions have a structure. Traditional witchcraft does not. How would you suggest seekers to the traditional path, but not British traditional, start? For me, that's easy. Just start reading and experiencing, like, traditional witchcraft books. In the group, we have suggested books that you can read, and more so, not even books, like, just start, getting back to nature. And that's something that I feel a lot of people have stopped doing. They have stopped stepping out, barefoot on the earth and listening and actually channeling and trancing. That is something that needs to happen more of. If you want to learn to be a traditional witch, and this goes beyond, like, specific traditions. When we speak of witchcraft, when we speak of the craft, it's more so like going back to, like, the basics, the original, the root, and what you you know witches to be, and it's more about, you know, your psychic development in the sense that you connect with spirits, you are of service, and that is something that's very intense that needs to be expressed as well. And we're running out of time, but a witch, at the end of the day, a witch is of service to spirit, of service to their deities maybe, but definitely of service to the earth, of service to the spirits, the witch father, the witch mother. We are of service, and I was talking with Melissa after our tarot show on Wednesday, and it's not just that we're of service to the unseen and what we experience there, but we are also of service to the people of the earth. We are also of service to those who interact here. We're, in a sense, we're a lot like mediums that we bridge a certain gap. We interact in the world where we bring this and this together to function. We're like fucking like the Force, man. um, but in truth, to experience, like, to transition and experience actual witchcraft ecstasy, not the drug, motherfuckers, like, you know, ecstasy, like spiritual ecstasy, trance, channel, and the basics, y'all. It really is. It goes back to the basics of what we are taught. It goes back to understanding the connection between witch and spirit, witch and earth, witch and elements. It goes back to those primal instincts, like your desires, your body, and what it craves. It goes back to understanding those thought processes and those patterns, and like, when you're, let's just say, like, when you're lusting after someone, when you're in the energy, there's a specific energy, obviously, that goes on. But there's a very old energy that is attached to it, and it's very intense. Understanding where that comes from, being able to hold it, being able to channel it, and connect with it, that helps you connect with the witch. You know, not just with lust, but that's just, you know, that's easy to express and easy for people to understand. But with other emotions, I'm rambling again, so if y'all want to take over on that one, go ahead.
Well, on top of, you know, you said books and, you know, research and stuff like that, if you are lucky enough to find somebody who is in practices and learned, you know, from their family or, you know, whatever traditional witchcraft, then learn from that person. I think they would be very willing to show someone who is truly dedicated and is truly in wanting to learn. They would be more than happy to show you and teach you the ways and, you know, stuff like that. There's, like, you know, books and shit are great, but there's nothing that compares to hands-on learning from somebody.
And interaction with people, just like the group, that, I mean, I didn't put it in place, but, like, I mean, that was Michael, but, like, that is a tool to be utilized. People don't, it's not a public forum to just talk about random shit. The purpose behind that group is to get communication flowing and to learn from each other, because I'm not going to practice like Michael. Not that, I will say we three here have very similar beliefs and very similar things that we do in our practices, but I practice the way Hunter practices, Michael practices the way Michael practices, Scarlett practices the way Scarlett practices. That's we learn from each other. I learn from these two people every day of my life, every single day. And I mean, they have a lot of years on me, so I went there. Boom! I haven't gone there in a long time, but I went there.
Really?
One eye open tonight, Hunter.
So I haven't gone there in a while. It needed to be there, but I should say that going back a little bit to where we were before, not so much Crystal's question, but people forget that our bloodline The blood that runs through every witch was raw out of necessity. We were born, and this is my true belief, that we were born out of a gap that needed to be filled between the human world and the primal world. And we are very much the mediums. We're not like a psychic medium, but in a way we are that bridge where we have that. We have one foot. If you look at it like a fence, there's 1 foot of us in the spirit world at all times. There is another foot in the human world at all times, and we are the bridge back and forth to that. And I think that witchcraft, and its very rawest form, in the first witches that inhabited this earth, were created out of necessity to bridge that gap between the spirit world and the human world. Because for whatever reason, humans showed up on this rock that floats in the middle of nowhere.
Well, because
and there are very ancient primal energies that were always here, that have been here and will always be here, and the communication was necessity. You're talking about a culture that literally thought that if you moved a fucking rock, that your village would be torn down because you disrespected the spirit. Okay, well then here comes a witch that bridges that gap, that communicates with that spirit to help the human world to understand what goes on here so that they can prosper there. Also a reason why we'll never be in the middle of the action when it comes to the human worlds. We are always outcast. There's never a witch that's not. It just happens.
Yeah.
We are those people that live like 3 miles from the village because people are scared to go to our house unless they need us. And then they're ready to give in. They're ready to seek that help.
That's another interesting thing to express is most times when a witch's approach is out of necessity. The necessity pushes the mundane, and I'm not even going to go travel on that subject, but interesting enough, like when you say, why the mundanes are here, well, they're here to remind us witches of how awesome we are, duh. No, I'm just kidding.
Goes back to being our witches superior. We'll talk about that in the private show.
Okay. So, but what you express is also a good transition for a few things. Is witchcraft damaging to the soul, and is it safe to pretend to be normal, and should we interact with the world in the same way? Those are 3 things, but they all kind of rely on what you just expressed as well, and more so because if witchcraft is definitely damaging to the spirit, I feel for those who are actually just playing around and who do not actually live it, and those who just dabble because of all the stuff that we are required. And when I say we're of service, we are. So when there are things that are asked of you and you don't follow through, you will piss off spirits. You will piss off energies. And so if you're walking this path, and you don't have respect and you don't have understanding of what's going on, and you start pissing off different, spirits, different energies, they're going to take it out on you. They're going to be mad. They're going to make your life shit. And I feel that those who, and again, this isn't to make, it's not necessarily expressed to separate, but it's expressed so people can understand and maybe contemplate, like, is this for me? Is it not? Whatever you decide and whatever you choose, that's on you, and be comfortable with it. But these are things that need to be, asked and understood. But if you're just playing, then yes, it is definitely damaging to the soul. Is it safe to pretend to be normal? Because there's a lot of times where natural practitioners who create things and who allow for things to happen, and they freak out. They don't have training. They don't have understanding of what's going on. So they act, or even they're brought up and they're taught, like, no, you don't see that. No, you can't see that. That's not true. You're just, you're lying, or the devil's in you. something like that. So they learn to block it. They learn to like hide from themselves or just not express what's actually going on. It's not safe to do that, especially when this is something instinctual, when this is something normal for you, because we all know, like, when you suppress things, when you suppress, like, memories or experiences, pain, when you cover pain up and hurt up, eventually something's going to trigger you, and you freak the fuck out. You blow up. You might lash out. And if you can imagine a witch who suppresses all of their power, their energy, and all this built-up emotion, and it's associated with really negative shit, if you pretend to be normal and all this shit's like being, you know, pent up and just building and building, if something, whether it be spirit, whether it be being around another witch, you know, because when you're around other practitioners and you start to feel different things, it starts moving your energy as well. When you're around that, it's like opening the floodgates. All this shit will flow through, and it can definitely do damage. It is not safe. It's not safe to pretend to be something you're not. And if you're a witch, you should be proud of that. You should be proud of who you are. You should be proud of what you are, and you should be grateful for the blessings that this is. You know, and. I'm sorry, y'all want to jump in on there? I'm like, just boom, boom, boom. Y'all have something to add to that?
No, you pretty much covered it.
Yeah, you kind of said it all. Although I'll say that I don't think that a witch can ever live and be normal. Like, it would be really hard for them to be. I mean, we all have like normal jobs. It's not that like we don't live like mundane lives in a way.
Yeah.
We live in the mundane world. All witches live in the mundane world. That's not a question. But I don't know if you. I know you two can reason with this. It's like when you walk into a room and just people know you're off, and they don't know why you're different, and they don't know why you're messed up, or like they get this weird, because there's a lot of humans that have like, and it's kind of hilarious. Some are like, you know, dumb as dirt, but there are those humans that are instinctually, they don't trust us, and they sense danger, and they sense like something's not quite normal, and it's true, we're not quite their version of normal, and they do sense it. So it's hard to live in the human world and not be very noticeably different. You would have to try really, really hard to convince people that you were normal.
Right.
And I don't think that's healthy. And I think that practicing witchcraft is bad for the soul if you're not supposed to practice witchcraft. That's just dumb. That's like, I don't know. That's like, it's like just taking fucking medicine if you don't have an ailment that necessitates that medicine. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, let me pop a Oxycontin even though I'm not in pain. Well, guess what? It's gonna make you feel good for a little while, but that shit's gonna be really addictive and very detrimental to your health, and that's not okay.
Shoot.
So,
along and going with that, Zoe is asking, like, do you think that born witches can deny themselves the craft and magic without consequences? And we kind of covered that, but no, there will always be consequences if you deny, like you said, if you deny yourself of your true nature, especially when it comes to, you know, witchcraft and magic. If you deny that and hold that back, it's almost like it eats away at you, like it hurts you, it hurts the body, because our craft is meant, and we're of service, so it's meant to be like, we're supposed to channel this energy and release it and return it. Like, it's supposed to be like a cycle, you know? We express, we share, we take, you know, we give and take. And if you're not releasing that, if you're not, there is something that I could totally say that I'm not going to say. That's not funny. Okay, sorry. Anyways, yeah, there are extreme consequences when you are born witch and you do not act upon it, you do not engage upon it, you do not live it, and you do not express it. So if this is your calling and you deny that, that is something that will pretty much bite you in the ass in the long run. And it's not pretty. It really is not pretty. I've seen people deny themselves, and I'm pretty sure I've talked about this before, but I have seen people go crazy when they experience they've held their craft back, they've held themselves back for so long. They get a taste of it, freaks them the fuck out. They go back to their Christian nature, before, but they're fucked. That's not who they are. And even when they're trying to be Christian, they still create things. There's still things that move around, and so it damages. It's not pretty. Um, it's not pretty, and so that kind of goes with the last, I think, last bit. Um, is it dangerous to be a practicing witch among a family of mundanes? So, is it dangerous to be a witch when you are around people who are mundane? And I guess, yeah, let's just leave it at that and expand upon that however you desire to expand upon that. Anyone, I can keep talking.
I grew up with muggles. Like my mom's a mundane. My sister's a mundane. My grandma's a mundane. I don't hate them for it. No.
Well, at the same time, you were a baby witch.
What?
At the same time, during those times, you were a baby witch.
Right, and there was things that, and I'll say that as baby witches, things are very much dangerous. For a long time, when you're young and you're starting to really practice, it's very dangerous because you don't know, and for a lot of us, they're not. There's not like a handbook to follow. We don't have meetings. We don't have like, classes at school that teach us these things. So, I think for a while it can be dangerous if you don't know what you're doing exactly. Obviously, a lot of us are spirit taught, and if we listen to spirit and not reject what they have to say, a lot of times they're not going to steer us in the wrong direction. But I think it can be. I think it can be very much dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. But when I lived, even when my sister lived here, my wife's a medium and I'm a witch, and my sister was the muggle down the hall, and I worried sometimes that things were gonna. I had to keep her under my wards at all times inside this house, because if I let them out, whatever is going to come in can't get to me and can't get to Lindsay, well, they can get to her. So I didn't want to do that. I mean, my nephew lived here for a little while. I protected him constantly. It was, you just renew and you just strengthen and you just ward and you protect, and in that way, no, it's not dangerous, but it can be. I can see how it can be dangerous. It's never been in my house, but I can see how it could be.
Right. And that's kind of, yeah, I agree. It's, again, like we've always stated, witchcraft is a dangerous practice, and for many reasons. But when you are practicing, and you are calling spirits, and you're working with entities, you're working with forces of nature and other forces that are very distinct. If you are around people who do not comprehend, it, again, like you said, it can be very dangerous. If you are a witch worth anything, you understand how to protect. You understand how to make sure that everything in your home, everything in your surroundings is protected. So I guess this is more so a warning to those who are kind of playing with things they don't understand yet. And the only way you're going to really, delve into things is if you keep pushing, pushing past like barriers and stuff, but you have to also be smart about it. Like if you fear certain things, if you're scared of certain things, and you keep trying to work something and you pushing the envelope, that fear is going to be used against you. So for sure, know your shit before you start calling things and start working with things in an environment that other people are going to be in, because you can definitely put other people in harm's way and you don't even realize it. It's not your intention, but if you don't get rid of a spirit the correct way, and they linger and they attach to your sister that's in the house, or your niece that's in the house, and you don't know how to get rid of it because you did it the wrong way. You didn't learn that. You didn't research that and practice beforehand. So you have no idea what you're doing. Those kinds of things happen and can happen. So if you don't know how to protect yourself, know how to make sure that if you're going to be doing something, that you're in control, you're in charge. You have spirit allies, you have things in place, you have wards and all these other things. You have different backup plans, so if something doesn't work out, you have other things in place that will take care of it. And yes, that's it is dangerous to be a practicing witch among family members, more so when you don't know what the fuck you're doing. When you are a dabbler, and more so when you are one who's not in tune with the energies within themselves and around themselves, when you don't know what's going on, there are other things that can step in and fuck with you. So be aware of that. Anything you'd like to add, Miss Scarlet?
No.
Okay, y'all.
No, covering it.
If any of you have any questions right now, I can take a few questions before we have to go. But if there's anything you want to express, if there's anything that you want to say or ask, go ahead and do that now. And if we can't get to it, please feel free to do a video response. Feel free to write a blog post. Feel free to engage with us somehow, some way, and let us know that you did, because we might not know about it. But this is something that needs to continuously be expressed and discussed, because it is something that needs to be taken back. The expression that the craft is, in a sense, no, I can't say that. It's important to understand the dangers when you are working your craft, and it's important to understand how to pay attention and perceive in a psychic way. It's important to understand, to channel, to trance, to communicate with spirit. It's important to understand all these different things. So if these are things you do not comprehend, if these are things that you do not understand, then it's time to take a step back and learn them. We have to continuously engage with each other and uplift and work with each other to bring this to fruition, because there's a lot of angry witch spirits out there who are angry about the watered down craft that is going on, and it's time to be serious again. It's time to do what we're here to do. Yeah, and anyways, I'm rambling, so if anyone else wants to express something before we do the little closing, feel free to. Yay, nay?
Well, if we don't have any questions.
We don't have any. We don't. So be sure. Sorry, I'm trying to check every aspect, and if anyone's asked a question elsewhere, because some people for some reason can't ask questions here, which is fine. We'll find a way to answer them. Be sure to subscribe to the channel. Be sure to invite your friends to subscribe to the channel. And I hope that y'all got something from this, and I hope that it has engaged you to contemplate things. And please remember, like this, it's like 50-50. It's not coming from a place of judgment in the way most would perceive, but at the same time, we are kind of being judgmental, and we're okay with that. So, yeah. We are still having our contests. 1,200 subscribers. I'm going to give that book right there away. I got some Dorothy Morrison candles that are me giving away. I got some oils. I got a lot of stuff that I want to give away. But y'all gotta show me. You gotta show me that you want it. So yeah, and the newsletter, the Deviant Witchery newsletter, will be out hopefully this week sometime. All right, I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting something, but if y'all don't have any shit to say, we are gonna say peace. Hasta pasta.